Welcome to the Rational Growth Experience, where every week we talk about how concepts from personal growth and spirituality come together and are experienced in our everyday lives.
We're good.
All
All right.
right, finally, 20 minutes of technical
Yeah,
difficulties
man.
later.
Did you get your little break in
Computers deciding.
there?
Yeah, I got
Hey,
plenty
bro.
of break. I even jammed out by myself over here, dude.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, I had this unstuck in my head, so I just put it on YouTube real quick, sang along while you were lagging like you kind of are now, and
Oh,
oh god,
jeez. Help.
it's happening again.
Welcome to episode 7 of the Rational Growth.
You come back in just briefly enough for me to hear fuck. What apps do you have open?
None, dude. Like, literally just crashed the whole computer. I have nothing open. Let me disconnect my hard drive, see if that helps. All right.
You could check out your activity monitor and see what's running that might be causing it.
Oh, ope.
It seems to be working now.
Yeah, I can see you. I can see your hand movement now.
I can
You're not
see
like mid-frame
clearly
creepy all staring
now
at
the
me smiling, bro.
way. Oh
Bro.
my gosh.
All
We
right,
did it.
man. It
We
works.
did it.
Let's not jinx it just yet, bro. Let's finish this episode.
All right.
All
Let's put
right.
some positive energy that the shit's gonna last this time.
It'll be fine.
Set
It's gonna
the
work.
intention.
It's gonna work. Oh shit, you're taking another break?
Nope, I just set the intention that you're not gonna lag for the rest of this video, so.
Oh, nice. Okay. I was like, oh shit. All right.
Tuned into the possibility, felt the future, and here we are.
Yeah, nice, dude.
Oh, okay, let's
Well,
do it.
this
I'm pumped.
episode, I don't know what the fuck we're talking about, but tell
I
me how
think
about your day,
7,
man. You were about
episode
to.
7.
Yes, episode 7. I introduced it. I don't know if you heard that, but if you didn't, then
I
that's
did
all
not.
fine.
I did not. Not at all.
Okay, well, I introduced us, so we're good. Um, and yeah, man. Well, you said that you had some good days the last couple of days. Tell me about that. What's going on, man?
Um, yeah, so I think this past week has just been interesting, all things considered, with, virus and kind of reintegration. And I think for me personally, sharing a little bit about like something I'm working on is, I guess, stepping into, I guess, new shoes is the easiest way to put it. And it's something I've known that I've need to be doing for a while, and I just kind of haven't. And so taking little steps toward that, because I think there's a part of me that's like still afraid to fully jump in, but so
Yeah.
I'm just taking little steps to just build habits, just to build a habit. And I've been doing that the past like 2 or 3 days, and like just kind of no BSing myself anymore. And so
Well, what's that
meditated
happen, man?
last night. So when you like have a lot of ideas that will like benefit you in the long term.
Yeah.
So like if you're gonna jump into fitness and start working out every day, or like meditating every day, or like building some like putting time towards something that you can get a profitable return on, whether that's
Mhm.
real estate or like an online store or whatever it may be. um, I've had these ideas just kind of looming in my head for a while, and I've kind of fleshed them out and went down the rabbit hole with each of them, but I never like started doing it. And I think there's still a whole ebb and flow cycle that I stay true to, in terms of not having motivation and just letting that be there and let it pass. And I think I was kind of in an unmotivated state, even though I had all of these ideas running through my mind. I didn't really care to start taking action towards them. I just kind
Mhm.
of jotted down enough to get me excited about it for when I felt ready. And then yesterday or the day before, I think it was on Sunday, I was just like, tomorrow I'm not obligated to go to the movie company, and I'm only going to do Instacart. So why don't I just take the day to focus solely on this one thing I've been thinking about for a while. So I did, and so I just spent the day like getting clarity on my finances, and then starting to actually like do step by steps to creating a Shopify store and to create my e-commerce business. And so which took so long, by the way. It took way
I
longer
bet.
than it needed to. And then like I finally started figuring stuff out in terms of importing products, and I realized one of the products was out of stock for one of the accessories I was trying to sell, and I was like, no.
Oh damn.
So I got and so that took a while, but started doing that, and then I think I'm just learning how to balance it all, because I think I'm really good, or I have like a fairly extreme personality. I'm either all in or I'm not.
Mhm.
And my biggest challenge during all this is just balancing it, like how to continually like have a flexible schedule enough that allows me to still be productive for a long period of time, rather than having like a month sprint, 3 months off, another 3 month sprint, a month off. You
Mm.
get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying, and I think with it, what something that just jumped out at me was I think that there's a trap within that, being procrastination or procrastinating for what you're trying to accomplish. I think that jumped out really. That's a huge topic I want to say, because you could always have these big ideas, big goals of what you're trying to actually want to do, and then it's always that first step. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'll push it out tomorrow. Like for example, last week I was in such a weird state, like I was telling you with the whole, and it's I kept pushing off a couple calls here and there, and then doing the minimum, doing like absolutely the least that I could possibly do. And I think that that's a huge trap for most people of why they're not one accomplishing their dreams, or the one percenters being just the one percenters, just because
right.
it takes such a fucking huge amount of action to actually get it done. But that's kind of
Totally.
what jumped out at me, man. Like that's awesome that you started your e-commerce, and how's that kind of going for you right now?
Just slow. I mean, it's just a lot of learning is a lot of what it is right now. And then yeah, I know I delayed because I know I had, in terms of the creative process for me, it takes me some time, and I know
Yeah.
it takes me some time, and I hate like when, even though I'm excited about it, I'm like, oh, I know my creative process takes a while, so
Mm.
I'm just like, I don't want to sit there and be frustrated, spinning my wheels around trying to create something, and for like however long it takes, which it took me about 4 to 5 hours to like come up with a name and figure out what products I want. And well, I had already selected a product, but like how I wanted to brand it, and what and then just going from there with it all. And it's just like I get scatterbrained when I first jump into it, because I'll do one thing and then I'm just like, oh, and this and this and this, and then I kind of get off on this tangent, and then I'm like, okay, wait, come back. And so it's just a process for me. But
Analysis
anyways, this
paralysis.
yeah, analysis paralysis for sure. But um, they made a lot of progress, so
Yeah.
I'm pretty pumped about that, and I probably will have a greater fire lit up my ass here, um, probably tomorrow or today even. So uh, I was applying to like work trade jobs
Mm.
for yoga, and there's that place in Maui. I don't know if I told you about that.
Oh no, you didn't. No, this is
So
news to
there's a
me,
work
man.
trade. Yeah, there's a work trade experience in Maui. It's a minimum 2 month commitment. You work 20 hours a week in exchange for food, stay, and like classes essentially.
Mm.
And so I was like, that would be dope. And a friend of mine sent it to me. And so I was like, she's like, you should check this out. And so I did. And I was like, this sounds amazing. So I applied for it. And they got back to me and sent me like a, here, fill out this Google form as kind of like an application. And then I filled it out. And I wasn't really expecting, I wasn't expecting to hear back, because I was like, there's probably a lot of people. I wasn't really expecting to hear back, but I put effort into the application, and then
Yeah.
uh, I hear back. I think 2 days later, they got back to me and they're like, we want to schedule an interview with you, and so I'm going to talk to them tomorrow.
Ooh.
So I might be going to Maui for 2 to 3 months, and if that's the case, I really want to get this thing rolling before I go out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I do have real estate deals I got to close before then. So that's where I'm like, but it's all great. It's all great. So I'm just like super pumped. Um,
That's
but
exciting, my
anyways,
guy.
yeah, it's super exciting. And so like that was just really cool for me to think about. And but yeah, circling back to the past like couple weeks, I think learning how to be consistent again, because it's like I've
Mm.
had my sprint periods of, and sometimes I say sprint periods and it makes it sound short, but I've had 3-year lawn sprint periods of like going ham in certain areas, like lifting, for example. Like I was going ham for probably 2.5, 3 years straight. There was no
Yes,
stop. I just
yes.
went, and then finally I like just burnt out one day, and haven't really been working out much, but I do yoga and stuff now. But so now that I'm like one extreme end to the other, I'm like, okay, let's swing that pendulum. I love to use the example of a pendulum swinging. Like we're swinging from one extreme to the other, and eventually the pendulum comes back to center to rest. So
Balanced.
I'm slowly coming back to center, balancing it all, and working out in my schedule. Okay, like what can I, where can I like stop BSing around, put time towards this regularly, while still being able to enjoy other things. Like for me, I really enjoy playing games with my friends in the evenings.
Yeah.
So they typically don't get on until around, this time we record 8:39, and I'm like, okay, I could work. I typically work till about 1 or 2. So from 2 to 6, that's 4 hours, which is a pretty good amount of work. 4 hours
Right.
dedicated to that. Eat dinner, finish up whatever I wanted to while I'm waiting for people to hop on, and then hop on to play games. Now that's removing the other part, which is my morning work, and I have flow. I do my little morning movement and flow and kind of recentering, and then I'm also adding a meditation right before I go to bed. So right after I game, like I'll probably get off like 11:30, which isn't ideal, but 11:30 to
Nice.
12, and then I'll meditate for 30 minutes to an hour, which I did last night. And I had to get up at 5:45 for work. And I actually got up and felt so alive, dude. Oh my gosh. I haven't really been meditating consistently. Like I've been just doing more mindful moments, but actually taking a full 40-minute meditation and really tuning in, and like, oh dude, it was crazy. And then I woke up, I was like snapped awake. There was no me dragging my ass out of bed. And I think it was just like a cool reminder that, and like learning experience, because I like got myself to do it after being in kind of like letting myself be in that state and deciding, I think it's time to start pushing a little bit to get out of this, and then spending the time um, doing the thing, and then
Right.
just kind of feeling the afterglow of it all, because like I've had energy all day. I've just been kind of this go-go mentality. So like I worked, um,
Dude,
made
that's so awesome, man.
yeah, so like I worked today and then came back, and I was working on this little project I've been wanting to do that I just started like in the past 3 days, which is creating this freaking mount for this monitor I have. Oh my gosh. I've been trying to find a mount for this monitor so I can mount it on my wall. It's an adapter, and they're sold out everywhere. And I've tried like I contacted all of the customer supports for the 3 companies that sold it, and
Right.
they all said they're out of stock and they don't anticipate having it in stock anytime soon.
Jeez.
So I was like, great. I was like, I'll just make my own thing. And so I just went to Lowe's and cadavered of
Built it.
MacGyver.
Right.
Just kind of made this weird janky thing that I'm gonna give a rip probably tomorrow. But
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, there's a couple things that I kind of want to touch on. Well, that's exciting because you're manifesting what you wanted to do. I know that I
totally.
don't know if we've talked about the experience with when you went to Bali, but that's something that you're actually dedicating your time to on what you really want to do within the yoga side,
Hmm.
which is completely awesome, man. That this is one of those opportunities that you're going to really get to open that path. And it sounds like everything is aligning, which commend to
Totally.
you, man. That's really awesome. That's really awesome on how everything's going for you, man.
Yeah, and I've been talking a lot about how I was like, at the end of summer, I'm gonna go travel. At the end of summer, I'm gonna go travel. And I was just like, this is it. I like just set the intention. That wasn't me bullshitting and telling myself, oh, I think I'm gonna go do this. I'm like, nope, this is what's happening. And I think there's a difference, and I'd love to talk about that difference at some point, like intention.
Now,
It's like knowing. It's like when you, yeah, I guess right now. It's like when you know. It's like let me let me think of a good example. A good example would be probably when you press the no, that's a bad example. um, but I'll just talk a little bit about it, and then an example will come to me. So
yeah.
it's like you you know when like maybe you're like pondering over a question, or you're working through a problem, and or someone asks you something, and you just know the answer. There's no questioning. There's just like, oh, this is it. That's what
Yep.
I mean by like in the difference in intention. because it's like backed by like I wish there was a better word, a certain knowingness. There's a
No,
certain
it was just
knowingness
yeah.
behind it, and it's like there's no questioning, there's no doubt. It's just boom, this is it. And so I think when people talk about manifestation a lot, and this is something I personally struggle with a ton, and I can
Mm,
always tell when I'm manifesting versus when I'm not, and times that I wanted to manifest something and that it actually didn't happen because I wasn't actually serious. I didn't believe it. It was like
mm.
I would say it, but it was like I didn't believe it. And it's like you can say something and not believe it, and it's not going to work. It's just not how it works. And now, like
That
saying it and like just kind of having that knowingness and like putting myself like in the meditation, I put myself in the, I was like, what if I went on a retreat like this? What would this feel like? And I just like was feeling that. And it felt amazing. And so, and then I just let it go. And so I think continuing that knowingness is is what I mean when I'm talking about difference in intention versus just kind of saying you're going to do something.
yeah. So like I guess in some sort of simple terms, like face value, you knew it, but in a deeper manifestation, like you're saying that this is what you want to do. This is like the truth in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
the truth of you and what path you're trying to take. Because when that comes to mind for me, is that manifesting is, I would say that I struggle with it too, man, because I mean, I guess in some small details, like manifesting my reality within the 5 years. I just never really took the time to really know what I want to do in the next 5 years. I don't know what's going to happen, you know. But that's why I'm commending to you, man, because that's really awesome that you really understand what your truth or your manifestation will be within the yoga, and you're going to be experiencing all this stuff in Bali and Mali, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, Maui.
Yeah, Maui, and it's going to be an experience. I think that that's going to be very valuable to you once you come back and get to open up, you know, your own shop or whatever the case may be, which I think is going to be pretty awesome, man. So like, take me through that journey and like, why is yoga something that you really want to do, or and compared to some other things?
So, well, I mean, there's a couple different things I want to do. I don't know if it's fully yoga. I know yoga's a part of it.
Mm,
I think a lot of kind of sitting with my thoughts the past couple days and thinking a lot about this. I think what it really is for me is just it's almost like I'm giving myself the space I've always wanted to learn about me. Because I think, I mean, if like let's talk a little bit about growth. All it is a learning of self. That's it.
right.
And when you learn of yourself, then you kind of you start deciding, well, what do you want to be and what do you want to change, if anything. And if not, then you're like, this is great. How do I want to live my life then? And so I think it it's just been like a nonstop dedication to that. I'm like, and now, you know, taking the step of leaving the tech company, realizing it wasn't in line, it didn't feel like something that was in line with what I'm wanting to do. And maybe there's a certain amount of knowingness in me that just kept nagging at me of things that I maybe feel like I know I should be doing, or like maybe a part of me that's pushing myself to go do these things on my own for my own growth, you know, and trusting that. Because I think it's easy to say you're going to go and do these things and map out this really beautiful 5 year plan, but
Right.
it's I think there's just a level of committing to that and making the decision that okay, I'm going to do this thing, whatever it takes. And I think for me, it was deciding that I'm going to grow and like do whatever it takes for me to learn what I need to learn about myself to share my gifts with other people, with which, you know, I'm still learning what my gifts are, you know, like, I mean, maybe we have a podcast, so maybe this is a gift that people are really enjoying, or
Right.
maybe like one of my gifts is I'm super personable, or what, you know, whatever it is, like, or like that's creating content, or if that's like building like really beautiful art, or if that's like supporting a big company, or whatever it is. I think I'm just taking the time to learn that about me,
Hmm.
because ultimately it's one, it benefits me, but two, it's also it's going to be of service to everyone, and it's authentic to me. And I think I really realized in the past couple months, especially after going to Bali, that I spent a lot of my time um, pursuing other people's dreams. As maybe a part of my dream that I wanted to pursue, but I think deep down I knew it wasn't it entirely. It was something I wanted to explore, but it wasn't like the thing I knew I wanted to just go after. And so after giving myself space to actually think about it and trust that my dreams are okay to go after, and like it's okay to go after these things even if it goes against the identity of who I thought I was, which is someone that was going to make all this money, which who knows, it still could happen. But
Yeah.
that was something I had to come face to face, which is what we've talked about in the previous episode of coming face to face with that identity of who you think you should be. And when maybe you've been pushing so hard and it just doesn't, did you really want that, or is it just kind of like a, hey, this could still come, you can still have these big ambitions, but this is what you need to go do to grow to become the person that would uh, have that sort of thing. And I think that's what I'm learning to trust right now is, where am I being pushed, because I think ultimately it's pushing me there for a reason that's going to get me to that bigger dream I have. And I still don't have a full clear picture on it. I have ideas. I know roughly where it is and what it kind of looks like, but this is just one step of it. And I think I know this is a step for it. And so I'm giving myself the chance to go there. And I think that's a really big thing that's been huge for me. And that's all it was a decision. It was a hard decision. Personally, to me, when I say it out loud, I think it sounds dumb when it's like, oh, I'm making the decision to give myself a chance to go do something I've always wanted to do. But it's like, let that sink in for a moment. It's like, when
Yeah.
was the last time you did something that was like truly for you? Like
Mm,
truly, where you're
that's
like,
very. That's
and
a really good
so,
point, man.
for me, like this is like a big step for me because it's like, I've done a really good job at being of service to others. I've built a lot of things and helped a lot of things grow, and I've learned a lot, and it's taught me a lot during that. But I think now it's kind of time for me to boot myself out of the nest in a way and start spreading my wings and trying to fly as quickly as possible. Um,
Like a damn phoenix, bro. No, I,
yeah.
I definitely hear you on that, man. Life is art, man. Life is art. There's not one representation of how it really should look like. Like I mean, nowadays there's just a fucking norm on how life or what your success should mean or what this correct way is the right way, whatever that bullshit saying is. But I hear you, man, and that just really resonated with me. Like I think that me personally, have also helped a lot of individuals with outside of my own goals who put my goals aside and just waited on that and really helped other people to accomplish XYZ. And that's, now that you said that, like that's something that I really have to reflect on, man. I think I have to audit myself to really understand that side of gaining that clarity. I guess we've already talked about this as well, gaining that clarity, but um, being selflessness is one of those things that it's interesting because you don't want to do wrong by people, but at the same time there comes a time where you have to put that bullshit aside and focus on yourself,
Hmm.
you know and I commend you, man. I just commend you on that. That's great.
I appreciate it, man. It hasn't been easy, and definitely tons of mental battles come with, when you make a decision like that. I, some being someone that is like hyper analytical and hyper aware of what people are thinking and what they want and all that jazz, like making a decision like this is really hard. Um,
Hmm.
Even though it's like a trip to Maui, yeah, that sounds amazing, but it's like, oh well, you know, you have to make sure you close these real estate deals for your own sake, and then also make sure like all the stuff at home is taken care of, at least enough to the point where you can say, hey, I did what I could. This is all I can do. This is what I want. I'm
Yep.
sorry if that offends you, and letting go of that, especially if you've attached to it a lot like I did. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just been kind of a crazy week. And so I'm just following the energy of it all, going with it and just one step at a time still, because it's like 1 minute could be this super high energy, super energetic, ready pumps, blah 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 blah. But then also like let's prolong that. I want this to be an everyday thing. I don't want this to be like a 1 to 2 day thing. So
Right.
that's where I'm like, it's been pretty challenging to like check myself in a way, because it's like allowing myself to explore and be creative and do the things I want to do, but also like make sure I'm not overdoing it where I'm really just hurting myself or the people around me. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between like overindulging and being like self-gratifying versus doing the things you know you need to do for you while also being supportive and doing the other things you need to do. And so
Exactly.
yeah, so it's been interesting.
Let's go, man. Well, I mean, from my side, it's been an interesting week. I have meditated, not the 40 minutes like like yourself, but I have meditated at least 20 to 25 minutes,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, it's been. I've gained clarity. I've gained a lot of clarity, man, and I was able to get so much done for at least for me, and I'm proud of myself because I felt that being locked up in a house can get to you sometimes, and that's what I've noticed last week where I'm like, damn, I'm just like I'm beating myself up where there isn't a right way. I just got to do it. There isn't really a right way. I just got to put that action in. Like calling myself out on some bullshit, man. Like, for example, me wanting to read XYZ books, I've been struggling on that, man. Like, I just get so bored sometimes and trying to get that accomplished. And it's one of those times where I would say it's time to self audit. I self audit every single thing. I'm just going to start doing what I have to do in order to get to the person that I want to be in some sense. And I'm excited for it, man. I'm just really excited for everything that is happening. I have a lot of clarity. I have the sense of just wanting to get it done. And I was very excited because your energy has been rubbing off on this in this episode, man. Like, I'm excited for it, bro. But I mean, yeah, no, that's kind of how everything's been going for me. I had a really good week. Nothing too crazy. Working up some deals with some clients and hopefully getting them under contract within the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see where everything kind of goes from there, man. I mean, that's just what I've been doing day by day.
So check in from last week to this week is doing the meditation actually helps.
Yes, yes, it does.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, man. It's just like you're just carving at a sculpture. I think in a visual sense, like just carving at that sculpture and refining it. That's what meditation means to me.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, dude. But on that note, I mean, we're coming on the 30-minute mark. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd want to add or any other topics that you'd like to talk about.
Um, there's probably a lot of things that I want to talk about, but I think the way I'd like to wrap up this episode is mainly what we talked about is making a decision and aligning yourself to it. Not and
Hmm.
maybe if you don't fully believe in it, try, practice believing in it. And that's why we talk about doing meditation, taking the chance to feel like, okay, let's say you read every day and do these meditations and you're putting yourself and taking the steps towards becoming that person, but what does that person feel like?
Hmm.
And so by doing both, you're supporting your vision of what you want to become. Because a lot of people would say, like, think, oh, I'm just sitting there and feeling it. Why isn't it happening to me? And it's like, well, if you're truly putting yourself as that future person and feeling as that person would be, that person would probably take the steps to get there. So
Hmm.
it's not implying inaction. It's quite the opposite, actually. You're taking time to get clarity and fully feel what that would be like, and taking the bold steps, because it's hard. It's fucking hard taking those first steps and continuing to do it, because it's like, I'm going to be hyped up this episode and who knows what the next episode says, but I'm going to put myself in a position where I can keep going, which is what I just shared. My challenge is keeping that consistent, and what I've been doing to make sure and keeping it realistic, because honestly, I can't jump into doing our meditations like every day like I used to, or jumping myself into a 7-day-a-week workout program like I used to be able to. I just know it's not sustainable because I'm on the other end of crashing from it all. So now finding the balance, and then also understanding that even if it does crash, or if I go hard right now and crash again, like there's always a chance to come back around. So
Rebuild it.
so I think removing, to wrap it up, make the decision, align yourself to it, and remove the negative self-talk. And even if you have it, or if you're in a ebb, I was literally talking to a friend about this today, ebbs and flows. It's a common thing of life. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
be in the ebb. I was like, there's no need to beat yourself up about it. I was like, you have the rest of your life to get yourself out of that ebb. So let yourself be in the ebb. Just tell yourself it's amazing to be in the ebb.
Yep.
And then just indulge in it. Why not be there? Go fucking do what I did for the last 2 weeks, where I just played video games for like 4 or 5 hours a night, and then just like didn't actually do Shopify stuff. And now here I am cutting it to 3 hours a night. Let's go. But also adding 4 hours of other work and
No.
another 40 minutes of meditation. So find something that's sustainable. For me, that's sustainable. And that's because I've been implementing during these couple weeks, trying things, seeing how I feel, seeing if it sticks, seeing. And so don't be afraid to try. If you fail, that's okay. You know it didn't work for you. Find something different. Make the decision, align yourself energetically to it, and let go. Like, no need to judge yourself.
Yep.
It's okay. That's
It
it.
is
That's all
okay.
I got to say for this episode.
And then the fourth one that I have, we are going to start opening it up to bring some more people on, start interviewing, just start mixing up the dynamics so we can really get to know other individuals that have had some successes or have accomplished whatever it might be in different career paths and different journeys. And that's something that I kind of want to take this, well, we both want to take this podcast into, is just having other people and just talking about that. Because I mean, there's going to be a short time where you guys just get bored of us and talking about the same shit every single time, but including other people in the dynamic is going to be very interesting. And I hope that that's something that we can start implementing ASAP. And on that note, that's all I have for this episode. This was episode 7.
Episode 7. And I think something we
Nice.
should try doing is, because there's a lot of content we haven't covered. We've kind of talked about the repetitive stuff because this is just what we're experiencing, but maybe start deep diving into a little bit more nitty gritty. And
Right.
also, I would like engagement. So I want some feedback. I want to hear like what's working for people. Like when they hear this stuff, what it makes it think. Have you tried any of this? Is it working for you? I'd love to hear that. And heck, maybe we'll even bring whoever responds on to chat about it. Would love to just start doing that. That would be a cool thing to implement, similar to bringing on other people.
That's just exciting for me right now. I'm just imagining it, having people on it. Oh, dude, I'm excited for it. Anyways, I think that that's it for this episode. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, have a blessed day.
Peace.